So you want to know how realistic the Nordschleife is in ACC compared to real life? Well, I went to the Nordschleife, or really my colleague did here, on a motorbike very recently so we could do an ultimate comparison, and the results are surprising. I mean, even coming out the pits here, you can see it's very, very, very closely modelled, but I want to draw your eye a lot to the curbs, the trackside objects, the things that make a difference from a racing perspective. And by the way, this video is completely unsponsored. I bought ACC and the update with my own money, so I'm not paid to tell you anything nice here, or the other way around. And you can see the curb on the left-hand side has got great detailing when it comes to the angle. It's not too wide, and the distance between the white line and the curb. I was really impressed with that. iRacing doesn't do a great job of that particular curb. Again, another job where ACC has got it really nice is the track detailing that comes into play with brake markers. So you can see here these two speakers, they are accurately represented. So you kind of have these references when you're turning in or braking. Again, we can see great detailing on the left-hand side with the kilometer board and the speaker here. Forza doesn't get that right. Gran Turismo doesn't get a lot of that right either, which is interesting to see. And the curbs are going to be so important because in ACC, the curbs can be very brutal to get on. So you will want to know whether those curbs are accurate or not. By the way, on the left-hand side here, ACC does get that catch fencing, and I feel like that catch fencing is quite new. So very recent scan from ACC to get the catch fence on the left-hand side. Again, you can see the proportions of the corner really nicely modelled. That little elevation change as you go into left-hander. Such a tight corner where we know in video games it's really easy to run over the curb and sort of go into the barrier. Not something you would necessarily do in real life that much because you just appreciate how tight and twisty it is going to be. As we go through here, I want you to have a look on the right-hand side and the curbing, because ACC doesn't get everything exactly right, and you can see here it doesn't get that ridge in between the sort of artificial part and the grass that you have in real life. It also doesn't have as much rubber on the curbs as you do in real life. So this curb, because it has that artificial geoblock and then the grass is a bit further back, a lot of people are going to use that curb, and you can sort of see that the white line as well has had a lot of rub over it. But when it comes to track detailing, ACC still has that speaker post, which is nice. Going to show you a lot of the curbs around here as well, because these are curbs that you really want to use in real life. And I have driven the Nordschleife in real life, and you are nibbling these curbs. And this time on the right hand side, ACC has done a better job of the geo block and then that sort of muddy trench before the grass. Again, look in real life how much of the curb has rubber applied to it. So ACC maybe needs to do the rubber up because that will be commonplace, but it's modelled this curb a little bit more accurately than the last curb, I think. Also worth saying that the ACC session I'm doing here was a time trial session, but it has absolutely spammed the trackside object. Now, this is a huge one. Graffiti fans, I know you want this sort of analysis. We have this BMW Graffiti in real life and in the game as well. So this is a big win for ACC. I wasn't able to see so much accurate graffitiing in Forza, say, and Gran Turismo, but ACC has this one here. Unmistakable and very cool to see, actually. Nice job, ACC, on that one. Going forwards, and you can see the distinctive trees here, which gives you a different feeling. We've got the kilometer board, we've got the speaker post, got a lot of Yokohama signs as well, as you're going to see in the Nordschleife. Again, the elevation change in real life is something you're going to struggle in the games. I am going to be doing AC Nordschleife in VR, so keep an eye out for that. And actually, as we go over the jump here, made famous in Gran Turismo, we're going to see how realistic it is between the two. You can see there's less foliage in real life. ACC looks to be a bit more summery in terms of the time of year, but then the corner reveals itself, which is very, very realistic. It's quite an interesting one to drive, this one in real life. We have the runoff on the outside is very similar. The curb on the inside does invite you to use it, as I did do in the footage. Likewise with the curb on the inside here. And then we're going to go out, and when you drive this in real life, you appreciate this expanse of fields actually on both sides. So are we going to get that feeling in ACC? I would say yes, a very similar feeling actually that you get. So that's cool to see. They haven't spammed it with a load of festivals like they would do in Forza, no doubt. And we're going to enter the sort of, for me, it's really like a sector 2 of the ring when you go around this right-hander and you go under the bridge. We're coming in here. Have a look at the gravel trap at the end of the corner. You can see very similar where it starts. I think there's some catch fencing in ACC, although you can't really see it that well. And then we're going to go under the Yokohama bridge here. That is rendered very, very, very accurately, I have to say. So far, ACC doing a very good job. But obviously, let me know in the comments what you think. If you spotted anything so far that's not accurate, and there are some things later that I am going to point out that I think ACC could really improve on. And here we go down in the run. We're going to approach Adenau. I'm going to really focus on Adenau because it's such a critical corner in real life. And I want to let you know how it feels in ACC. Again, we've got some massive elevation change in real life, and we're getting that in the game. And you can see the curb on the right hand side quite flat. Curb on the inside in ACC, very inviting. That's the same in real life, where again, it becomes physically worn away. You don't get that in games. The curbs don't get physically worn, and they don't really get rubbered up. So here is Adenau, which is a fearsome corner in real life because it's very deceiving. And I think you do get an element of that deceit in ACC, where the barriers sort of protrude and hide the corners. It's a very evil corner way the camber is and the height and the barrier coming out. Again, you can see that the curb in real life is heavily rubbered. It's not so much in ACC. It actually there's a bit more of a gap to the barrier in ACC. But as we progress into Adenau, you can see a lot of graffiti on the circuit there. I think I actually struggle in this corner in ACC. I was on the old gamepad here trying to record this for you. Going over that geoblock, you actually get a good view of the geoblock, to be fair, which is similar, and even a lot of trenches there. Now we're going to go down and see the kilometre boards looking fairly similar. Very different feel you get of the left-hander coming up in different simulators. And in ACC, I think it does a pretty good job because it does open up a little bit. There is a viewing area on the outside, which, you know, even on the track day, like we can see on the left-hand side, it does sometimes there might be someone up against the fence watching. You sort of either don't want to bin it or you want to impress or whatever. So see the grass is struggling in real well, but ACC has got it all grown out. And again, the curbs here do invite you to go over them, as I do in ACC. We've got the speaker post very accurately modelled, the Yokohama sign. Then we've got, I mean, all of those signs. I mean, ACC does, and I've compared the Nordschleife on iRacing, Forza, Gran Turismo. ACC does the trackside objects there, as well as literally anybody. Coming in here, you see this little marshal's post on the right hand side. The Portaloo has moved in ACC, interestingly. Even the fencing up on the right hand side. And we're going to come in here because we have this very sort of tight left-hander coming up that has a really cruel and wicked entry to it, that when you're doing it in real life, you really appreciate that it's going to be a struggle to break in a straight line. So again, we've got the sign on the right hand side, AC spamming some tents here. But have a look at the entry point here. You can see it's so cruel, and I just want to bring that back actually, the way it snakes in. And you can see again the curb is quite realistically angled. The distance from the white line to the curb is something that a lot of sims get wrong. The distance from the curb to the barrier is pretty nicely modelled as well. We've got the fencing all there. We've got the way you can see the curb, the track is going to dip on the left-hand side. And there's a bit of additional barrier just at the edge of the corner. Is all really, really nicely modelled. Good job there, the ACC. And like I said, I'm not sponsored to say this. I went out and bought this with my own money because I enjoy playing this game. So going over there, see the curb invites you to go over it. And I've gone over it in ACC. Looks like there's quite a bit more runoff there in ACC than there was in the real life. You can see in the real life the grass has been churned up. So people have been going off. Again, on the right-hand side, there's a bit of churned up here. So we're seeing a bit of divergence. I think ACC does a weird thing here with the way the trees look. It's got like a parallax effect. I don't recall having a parallax effect like that when I was driving that corner. So that's interesting. We got all of this sort of fencing on the left-hand side, which is quite accurately modelled when it starts and stops. So definitely taking this seriously. Again, some runoff on the right-hand side. It's really the areas like runoff and where you can use the curb that I'm very, very, very interested in. I'm not sure that access road was there in real life. I want to have a look back at. See this curb left-hand side, very flat in real life. Maybe a little bit more raised in ACC. The fencing starts here quite nicely. And again, this corner, such a deceptive corner if you've driven the Nordschleife. I just wanted to pause it here to let you know that the vibe is quite similar. Deceptive corner because it's much tighter than it seems. And it's almost one that draws you in and you feel like you can carry more speed. But yeah, very, very, very similar. The curb on the right hand side in the real life and in ACC will invite you to nibble it if you need to. Following it around, and we're going to go into a very fast section of the Nordschleife. And by the way, I've done many track guides for the Nordschleife, so make sure you're subscribed if you're not already, but I know basically all of you are. In fact, put a sunglasses emoji in the comments if you are subscribed. Now coming in here, these curbs are super important because it's so high speed, you need to maximize your ability to get on the apex. And you can see here in ACC, there's like this ridging, and that ridging is the same in real life. So when you go on ACC and just nibble it, you might get a small vibration or a rumble, and that's exactly what you would get in real life as well. Obviously, we've got these trees that overhang a little bit as well. I mean, what a fun corner to look at here. You get a very similar vibe in ACC as you do in real life, that it feels like a swooping corner where it invites you to really up your speed. And we've got some runoff on the left hand side that was very, very, very similar. Got the porta cab on the right hand side again, some runoff on the inside, some geoblock, very similar there as well. Got some new tarmac, it seems, in real life, and again that was done in ACC. So even the new tarmac there that will change over time was represented. Some artificial sort of brick thing on the inside there I was using in ACC. That's also from real life, so you can use that again here. We have a little bit as well, I believe. And I just want to show you coming up. Again, it's an opportunity to really dive in on those details. You can see just that element of brick that invites you to nibble it if you need to. If you do the iRacing 24 hours or now the ACC 24 hours at the Nordschleife, you'll be wanting to maximize that. And that is the same as you have in real life. Looks like the barrier is a little bit further away though, which is interesting. It makes it slightly less imposing. So see, all through here, the barrier actually looks potentially further away if I've got it synced up correctly. That brick on the inside, I use a lot in iRacing. Again, it's in ACC, so it's great to see. On the inside, there's some geoblock there, and then there's the exit road. Nice, all looking quite good so far. Got the banking on the left-hand side, looks pretty good. Very fast corner here. Again, you don't want to use too much of that curb. It's quite an aggressive curb. I paused it here. You can see in real life there's not so much rubber on the curb early because it will really unbalance the car. We've got the 13-kilometer post that's present, so we can see we're at a very similar point. It's a really good place to go and watch, by the way, if you go to the Nordschleife. But again, yes, that curb is pretty similar in ACC and the real life, and you see it did unbalance my car somewhat. So we're coming up to, you know it, we're coming up to the Carousel, the most iconic corner in motorsport. Going to go around here. You can see there's a clearing on the left hand side on the track day. I expect no one to be there, but in ACC time trial they've obviously come out to see us race. Lots of curbing up here as we're going to go into the Carousel. I know a lot of you watching will be super excited about this. How accurate is the ACC Carousel? We are about to find out, and I have to say, looking at the signage, it looks very good so far. We're going to let ACC go into the Carousel there. Now, one thing I want to say, in real life, you very, very, very can clearly see that there's a ridge on the inside. In ACC, there is a ridge. It doesn't look as clear, though, just the way they've rendered it. It doesn't look quite as clear. It looks like a shadow, but that is a ridge. It does, however, feel like there's more space on the inside, flat. So this is a very important corner, and I wonder if ACC have just added a little bit more on the inside there, but you can also let me know what you think. Going around the Carousel now, we've got the very similar graffiti on the outside there. It's actually come out of the Carousel, and now it's going to be a lot of fast-flowing corners, so the curbs are going to be very, very, very relevant. Are they curbs that are inviting us to attack them? Are they realistic? We are going to find out in this ultimate comparison, I did promise you. And it looks like the bike is a little bit ahead, so we can look at the bike footage and then see if ACC is similar. That curb there looks pretty good. There's no curb on the left-hand side early here. When does the curb appear? Now the curb appears with sort of a smooth entry, which, yes, you definitely have in ACC. Again, the curb on the side, very rubbered in real life. Looks very heavy in AC. In fact, I do hit it, and we have a little bit of an issue there. So maybe that curb in real life is a little bit more inviting, a bit difficult to tell. Catching up now, and we're coming in here through this clearing. We've got the 15-kilometer board. See the entry path there, the access path. Again, the curb in real life is quite rubbered. We just nibble it a little bit. This curb on the inside as well. There's lots of runoff on the top, which will invite you to get over the top of it. This curb on the right, definitely get over the top of that one because it's very flat. I find all this stuff fascinating, by the way. I'm such a racing nerd. Look how much. There's a wall, there's a mountain on the inside here, so you really don't want to hit that one unless you're just sort of rolling across it. Now we're going to approach YouTube Corner, so I want to give you a view of what it's like approaching YouTube Corner in real life and also in ACC. So in ACC, it's packed out. People have got their cameras out. In real life, as you might expect, there's just a sort of spare parking in a way. Difficult to say if it feels the same. It feels a bit more claustrophobic in ACC. On the left-hand side is how I remember it driving the Nordschleife. You can see again, we've got this sort of brick there that we can use to open up YouTube Corner actually. And as we progress, and we're going to go and see how similar the curbs are. Again, how far away are the barriers here on the left-hand side? So you see they've got that sort of that muddy part after the gear block. And then you really go uphill now. In real life, you feel your engine having to struggle as you're going uphill, where you wouldn't in a big GT3, but in the car I was driving I did. Left hand side here, we've got a curb that does invite you just to nibble it a little bit. I think that's fair enough in ACC, then completely flat over the top there, which is very accurately modelled. We've got slightly more trees, it feels like, than we have in real life. So you see generally the trees in ACC have bloomed a bit more than they were at this stage in real life. We go past, I think, the 17-kilometre mark. Interesting there, we had the ambulance in exactly the same position. So, I mean, is ACC the most complete rendition of the Nordschleife? It honestly might be. It honestly might be the best place to hot lap it, but we've got some important corners to go. And I actually just wanted to pause it here. I wanted to show you the elevation change, which you definitely get in real life. Feels like you're crashing down the side of a small block of flats. And actually in ACC, I think it does do a decent job of translating how big the elevation is. And I'm going to let you know in VR, by the way, if it makes you want to throw up your lunch. Again, a lot more tree-lined in ACC than we have in real life. The barrier also feels like it might be slightly further away in ACC, which is a small theme I'm detecting in this video. There's a lot of curbs here that you potentially want to nibble, including on the right hand side, and especially this one that juts out on the left, and you can see it's all sort of the same geo block. In real life though, you just practically have more of the grass sort of churned up where big cars have gone over it, whereas in ACC it feels like the grass is pretty much always pristine. So maybe they could use more of the sort of muddying or the trenches style assets that they have. Again, we've got the blocks there on the outside that are available to use. And we're going to go into now to the mini carousel, which does feel a little bit different in ACC because the trees feel a little more imposing. But again, we have the curb on the inside. The distance to the white line feels very similar. And the actual mini carousel itself does feel quite similar as well. You can see there's a resurfacing in ACC that I couldn't see in real life. But in real life, the tarmac was cracking. So maybe it was due a resurface. And we're about to get onto the Dottinger and just sort of feel the speed as we get onto the big straight, and then going to go past the tourist complex there, if you've ever been to Nordschleife. So I'm really excited to have a look at that and some of the detailing. So we get on the straight now. You can see there's some huts on the left-hand side for stewards that obviously we don't have on the tourist day. And then we're going to go under the gantry here. That normally is Audi Sport. You can see there's the sort of curbs on the left and right hand side. So here's the Audi Sport gantry. And then, can you see in the distance, that is the sort of tourist, inverted commas, pit complex, for lack of a better word. That's where you join. You see there's a bit of pop in there on trees. So ACC probably not used to having such long draw distances, I have to say. As we're actually screaming down in ACC, obviously I've changed the speed of the footage to match the motorbike footage here. And quite a clear view of the slip road there on the right hand side. And then we're going to get a view of just the buildings here, you can see. So, yeah, fairly similar, I would say. This is when you come onto the Nordschleife if you are a tourist. And now we're going to come under the Bilstein Bridge. That is very similar in both, and a really good job there. Again, the curb starting smoothly in ACC, just as it did in real life, which is interesting. I'd say one of the biggest differences between ACC and real life is just the grass is very patchy in real life. There are cars going off and sort of destroying it. Whereas in ACC, it feels like it's sort of a AI perfect rendition of the Nordschleife in a dream, if that makes sense. Whereas the Nordschleife in real life is a living, breathing organism. So you can see here, here's the pit entry for the tourist day. And then we'll just see the gantry here, which has got Total Energies on it in ACC and then some ACC branding. I've got an ultimate Nordschleife comparison as well. So go check out these other videos if you want to see more about Nordschleife. Make sure you're subscribed and I'll see you next time.